So when we're emailing people, take that approach, and you will have more success with responses. Best ever listeners, before we get into today's episode, I want to mention Trevor McGregor. Trevor is a real estate results coach. I've been paying him and working with him for years now. He actually is responsible for giving me the idea to do a podcast. So it's not only about transactions that he gives advice on, how to find more deals, how to make more money, but also how to build a holistic plan around your real estate entrepreneurship endeavors. That's what I love about working with Trevor, that and being held accountable for what I say I'm going to do and actually making sure that I follow through and do it. I feel like I'm a pretty results-oriented, accountable kind of person, but it's always nice to have someone who's there guiding you along the way and giving you strategy as well as psychology tips for how to deal with, the things that come up as a real estate entrepreneur. Trevor has made a wonderful offer for the best ever listeners, and that is that he's offering a free coaching session. Go to coachwithtrevor.com. That's coachwithtrevor.com. Highly recommend him. I've worked with him before. I'm currently working with him right now as my business, as my real estate investing coach. Highly recommend you do the same. Take him up on his offer. Get a free coaching session. coachwithtrevor.com. Best ever listeners, hello. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a wonderful start to the weekend. I'm Joe Fairless. This is the best real estate investing advice ever show. And since it's Friday, we're doing a special episode called Follow Along Friday. And you know what Follow Along Friday is by now. I talk about all my real estate stuff, all my entrepreneurial stuff, and most importantly, what the heck that means to you and what I've learned. With this episode, I've outlined some notes. And what I want to do is I want to talk about some things I've learned that will help you build better relationships professionally, be more successful with your outreach to investors and really anybody you're reaching out to, and then raise more money if you're in the whole money raising business. So here we go. Here are three things that I've noticed this week, and I need to give some context. I am closing on an apartment community in Houston in mid-February. I'm in the middle of, well, actually not in the middle. I'm in the final stages of finishing out the money raising for that apartment community. We will be closing, right now it's scheduled for February 16th and be funding it with investors the first week of February, just to make sure we got all the, all the equity in that we need and there's no surprise scenarios. And with that process, I've noticed one thing that we've been doing this go around that I didn't do before, and I talked about this on the last Follow Along Friday, but I want to reiterate it. We did a conference call with investors, and here's the and, we recorded it. That way, it can be played for anybody else who wasn't able to attend the conference call. It's incredible having that recording. I didn't do it for the 168 units that I bought with investors, raised over $1 million for that. I did not do it for the 250 units that I bought with investors and raised over $1 million for that. I did do it with this one, and it's so much better. And it works because it allows investors to listen to the conference call whenever the heck they want to. Everybody's got a busy schedule. I got a busy schedule. They have a busy schedule. You have a busy schedule. Because I'm saying you because some of the best ever listeners are investors in this deal. And so it allows the call to be recorded and listened to as many times as they'd like. So that's one takeaway. If you're raising money, then when you do the conference call with investors, record the darn thing. I use free conference call. You got to make sure you hit the *9 button. I didn't do it on our first conference call. I forgot, but we did a second conference call, and then I made it a point to record it, and we got it recorded. So that's number one. I'm raising money. Now, relationship building and getting your emails responded to at a higher rate than what they're currently being responded to if you're doing outreach to people. I got 2 points for this thing. Number one is that I've received emails. I receive a lot of emails. Too many emails, actually. I receive too many emails. I don't know how many. I don't want to get into who receives more emails. I just receive more emails than I'd like. Let's put it that way, because I'd prefer to be creating things and talking to investors and doing all sorts of stuff. But life happens, and perhaps I should listen to Tim Ferriss's podcast a little bit more often than I do, and he'll teach me how to streamline that. But when I do receive emails, I enjoy reading them from you. I enjoy reading emails from the best ever listeners. I always love emails, talking about what you've learned and what you've taken away from the show and things like that. But recently, I've been receiving a couple emails from people, and they've been about 300 words, and I know this because I put it in a Word document because it was incredibly long. A 300-word email, that is the size of a chapter in most ebooks. And when it's an initial email, when you haven't had a one-on-one conversation with someone, or even if you have, I can't remember any time I've written that long of an email. Maybe once in reply to an investor. I wanted to make sure I was comprehensive. But when we email someone who we are asking a question to, or we're looking to set up a meeting or something, it's got to be short and sweet. And here's the filter that I recommend you look through when you're sending this email. Are you being a drain on the person, or are you being a builder for the person? And what I mean by that is when we receive emails, if somebody is asking us for something and they ask us one question, but they ask it 12 different ways with 12 different question marks, which was the case with a couple of these emails, it's tough. It's a drain on the person receiving it. If you've ever been in that situation where you have received an email and it's just a really, really long email, and they're asking you all sorts of questions, it's a little overwhelming. And in some cases, I have to catch my breath. So in some cases, I just have to oh my goodness, this is a lot to handle. It's not the right approach for asking a question and building a relationship, because ultimately we all want to continue to progress, continue to grow, continue to be successful in the way that we personally define success. And when we send an email like that's really long, asks a bunch of questions, then we're not being productive, and we're not aligning with that goal. What we're doing is we're being a drain on the other person, and it's not as likely that person will answer, or even if they do, they're going to remember, well, shoot, this person loves to write long emails. If I get into an email exchange with them, I'm going to be sunk. They're going to just destroy me with words, even if I reply 2 lines, because it's going to be a long, long, long email, a reply right after. So when we write emails to people, I know this for many best ever listeners, this is like no kidding, but for some, and for myself, I had to learn this. For others, this is an important note. When we write an email, make it short and sweet. And when I say short and sweet, I mean like a paragraph and end with a question. So a short paragraph, 2, 3, maybe 4 sentences, and end with a question. And ideally, we're being a builder for them, not a drain on their day. We're helping build what they're trying to build or what they have built within their own company. So I'll give you a specific example. Instead of if I wanted to reach out to, I already talked about Tim Ferriss, so I'll say Tim Ferriss. If I wanted to reach out to Tim Ferriss and I wanted to ask him, how do I minimize the amount of emails I receive every day, and how do I go about organizing my emails, and really I just want to spend less time on them. Do you have any tips? If I were to ask him the question like that, then, oh man, no way would there be a reply. Or if there was, it would be very short and sweet with, something probably impersonal. Whereas if I email him and say, love your podcast, I've actually, and here's the kicker, I've actually reviewed it in iTunes, and I've done a 5-star review in Amazon on your book. And I have recently shown your TV series to a lot of my friends, and now we have an email chain going back and forth on the top things we learned from that the TV series. I'm immediately building his company, building him up, and adding tremendous value. You've heard this before, adding tremendous value to his business. That gives me some good graces points, some nice like brownie points with him. And at that point, you can make some sort of segue of, after all this listening to your podcast and reading your book, and all these emails that I've had with my friends, boy, it made me realize that I've actually got one question for Tim Ferriss. Or in this case, I'd say for you. One question for you. And that is, I'm trying to figure out what is the best method for minimizing the number of emails I receive, ? And I'd say, appreciate your time, Joe. And then in PS, I'd say, and yes, I realize the irony of me emailing you, asking you how I can eliminate emails when I'm adding one more email to your inbox, something like that. And I made that up just right now on the fly. That's an email that would more likely have a response than the first one. So when we're emailing people, take that approach, and you will have more success with responses. Whereas if you send a long email with multiple questions, it's overwhelming and it's a drain on most people's day because they have too much going on. And by the way, for the record, I love emails from best ever listeners. It's just the right format that I receive them is what I'm talking about. Lastly, the transparency of meetings. My girlfriend, Colleen, was looking at her LinkedIn messages last night, and she got a message from somebody, and she's like, "Oh, this is random." I was like, "What?" She said, "Well, this is a guy who I haven't seen since high school. He just sent me this message." I was like, "All right, cool." And she read it, and he said something to the effect of, "Hey, Colleen," I forget his name. It's Bobby. I've recently had a career change, and I was wondering, what have you been up to? We haven't seen each other for such a long time, and if you have some time, I'd love to have lunch with you and catch up. Are you available next Tuesday at 3 p.m.? There, with that message, and the spidey senses are immediately tingling, because it's out of the ordinary to receive an email from someone you haven't spoken to in such a long time, and I've been in that scenario. For one of my for the first deal I did, raising money, I was emailing people I hadn't seen since like before high school. I mean, it was like middle school style. So I understand that, and the more resourceful we are when we're going to accomplish a goal, we're going to be in that scenario. It's just we're going to push ourselves. So I'm not knocking the intent, because I think it's awesome that he's trying to drum up some business, but the tactics and the mechanics of the message is what I want to talk about. So he doesn't explicitly state that he works at and we found out this through his LinkedIn profile, a financial wealth services company. Basically, you give them your money, and they invest it in all sorts of different things, and protect your wealth, and reinvest it, and give you life insurance along the way, that sort of stuff. So we found that out through the LinkedIn profile. If he were to say something like, "Hi, Colleen, it's so and so. I know we haven't talked in a while. I actually just took a new position at this wealth management company based here in Cincinnati. I noticed that you work at XYZ, and I was wondering if you know of any of your friends or coworkers who would be interested in something like this. I'd love to catch up, learn more about what your goals are, and see if it makes sense for both of us, or for you. I don't know. Word it something like that. If he were to approach it that way, it's completely transparent. You know what's going on, and he would have been more likely to qualify his prospect than in a meeting with someone, and then you think you're meeting with them to catch up on life, on high school friends, but it's actually a meeting to give you a sales pitch. So the third thing we talked about, one is do a recording when you're raising money on a conference call. That way you can share that with investors. Two, be a builder when you're sending emails, not a drain. Be a builder. And then three, be transparent. When we're transparent, then we're able to really build the relationship from an alignment of interest right out of the gate, versus someone thinking that you're being disingenuous with your initial outreach. And again, I want to reiterate that with the emails that I received, it was just a couple on the 300-word emails with like 12 questions. I love the emails, and I love corresponding back and forth. One best ever listener, after I was talking about the juice cleanse, they gave me a couple really good videos to watch, and he had lost a lot of weight as a result of doing the juice cleanse and just eating a lot better afterwards. And I'm incredibly grateful for him sharing that with me. And actually, 2 or 3 people reached out to me on that. So I love it, and looking forward to continuing to get to know every one of you as well as we can. If miscellaneous things, I got 2 miscellaneous things today. One, started a YouTube channel for the podcast. I'm doing a weekly YouTube video. You can find it if you subscribe to my newsletter on my website, joefairless.com, then you'll go ahead and you'll get that weekly newsletter. I have an email that goes out usually on Sunday that kind of gives a quick recap of things that I learned from this week's episodes. I think you'll really enjoy that. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it so far. And then the second thing is that this time next month, plus or minus 5-6 days, we'll be at 1 million listens, downloads for this podcast. And it's something that I'm thankful for you being a loyal best ever listener. And I just love being able to provide this format. And I personally learn from this show every day whenever I'm doing these interviews, and I'm really grateful that you're a loyal listener. And if there's any any suggestions that you have on the show format, or just more guests or any guest recommendations that you have, you can email me info@joefairless.com. And then lastly, on that note, I'd like to get to 200 reviews, 5-star reviews in iTunes by February 1st. As of right now, I'm at 195. If you have 3 minutes, if you can just do a quick review in iTunes, that would mean a lot. That helps, pump it up in the mysterious iTunes algorithm, and more people will be able to join in our community. And the bigger the community is, the more quality content we're going to get out of it. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me on your Friday. Hope you have a best ever weekend, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Did you achieve all your real estate goals in 2015? Well, if you did, congratulations. Fist bump to you. If you didn't, then go to coachwithtrevor.com. Trevor McGregor is my business coach, my real estate coach. He's also been a guest on the show, episode 320. He is offering a free coaching session for the best ever listeners. Just go to coachwithtrevor.com, and it'll help you to achieve your real estate goals in 2016.